Okay. Oh. So we'll see what's going on here. Oh man. What is going on here? Oh. Holy cow, man. Talk about glitches on everything. So my picture should be coming back on. It's really strange. I didn't do anything. I wasn't even in my software. And all of a sudden it switched me over. It's like an unseen hand did something. So, besides letting the room breathe, it'll be like letting the room fill in a little bit before I get going. Gotta compose myself. If I look like crap, it's a good representation of how I feel. It's really amazing, some of the, I guess, the viruses that are getting released out there. I mean, these are angry. These are angry viruses with murderous intent. These things are no joke. And they're not natural. Sure, they give them their names. Oh, this bird flu. Oh, this swine flu. Oh, this swine flu. Wonder where they got invented. Anyway, so there we go. So there's Raksha and I guess one other person. Hello, Jessica. It is always a delight to see you. It's always a delight to hear from you. One thing you're so refreshing. You really are. I mean, a lot of times you listen but then when you join in, it's always from the heart and from your heart. And it's just a real I really enjoy interacting with you, even though you might, occasionally think you're quiet. You and I have had a chance to speak more one-on-one. Hello, Doc. Oh, hello, Tamu. And I've also had the pleasure to meet with Tamu. Hey, Brandon. Yeah, tonight I'll wait a little bit more. I'm going to try and figure out pretending. John Lash did I think the end of pretending or something like that. And he uses he did 64 videos and maybe one or two extra in the series. Isn't it funny? That's kind of like the codon, anyway. where he did, he did the only breakdown of the Mandela effect. Nobody else. Everybody had questions. Everybody had little things. Nobody saw what was working, and that's because he parsed it out that the Mandela effect was Sophia acting. And it seems just about a time when she was getting some serious agency. It was certainly started. In certain parts of it were meant to be a psyop, and the real psyop was just to keep everybody confused. That was the whole thing, to make, and I mean, I was in the forum I was in. There was a whole thread there, Mandela effect. I mean, people were going wild for it. Oh, all right. Well, let's talk about that, Tamu. And so one of the things that he had picked up was one of the Mandela effect was in the Mama and Papa song, and that we all, those of us who grew up with that song, remember the part. I stopped into a church. I passed along the way. I dropped down on my knees and I began to pray. Is how I've seen them do it. I saw them do it live. You can watch their lips do it. But now the official let me go into my camera. So I pretend to pray. I drop down on my knees and I pretend to pray. Is now the new version. They're saying it's always been that way. And with so much of the Mandela effects, they're hints from Mama, and it's sheep, obviously, because John created the terma with her, and he's been working with her all of these years in profound ways. He gets some really good stuff. So that's, and like any human being, we all have to hold each other accountable, because we're human. We can screw up, but we hold each other accountable as brothers and sisters who love each other would hold each other accountable, and we don't play that fucking gotcha game. Gotcha comes from people who are unempowered and feel weak and empty. They play gotcha. Somebody with any personal self-value and integrity and dignity, gotcha is such a icky game. And so that pretend to pray. And there's a lot of deep meaning in there. I mean, a lot of people who pray do pretend to pray. And when you're considering who a lot of people end up, because of the way things have been done to us, have been crafted psychologically in the race, I can't, it wasn't done to us per se, because there's too many of us. Yes, it did get done to us, but it got done. Poor immune response. So there was a big pointing to pretense or pretending, and let's they did this. Well, I certainly remember, especially in retrospect, when it happened at the time. Now, this would be when I was 11 or 12. I was in the 6th grade. And since I'm having a birthday within the next couple of days. So it was between 11 and 12. And so when I started school, we had different, you had different paths for people. The smarter, the faster learners, the ones who move through the material quickly, they kind of got put into one class, and the people who moved through just a little, little slower, had another designation, and then they would just keep on going down. So obviously, the top those classes, the ones that they considered academically gifted. That's the other thing, difference between skills and academia, and they do work together. They're supposed to be part of each other. They're not meant to be separated. I think that separation was created much later. Not that there isn't a separation, but we're humans. We can't separate shit too much. But for courses of learning, like if you're a guitar teacher or something, you don't, and you've decided you're going to be intermediate, you. Okay, I'm hearing strange sounds. Oh, it's a good thing. Since my birthday is coming up, my third wife sent me a little something sweet. So now when I have this new cup with owls on it. They got actually it's 3 on each side, and they got like herbs and stuff growing out of their head. It's really kind of fun. Yeah. So I kind of, this is a nice cup. I enjoy this. Drinking a strong, fresh ground ginger root tea with lemon because I have experienced days of nausea. What I've been through the past couple of days in my health and my consciousness, because they're very tied together. I feel like I stepped out of the grave to do this show. But I'll get better. So the pretending part. Now let me look at something I'm obviously I'm struggling, and I would maybe describe my last couple of days, but I'm here. Who cares? And there's nothing anybody could do. I know people love me, so I would imagine anybody would not enjoy hearing about me being ill. I just assume that about people. Okay, I'm going to take a look into the chat, and let's see if there's a reason to do so. Hello, Callan. Hello, Charles. It's interesting about chicken soup. I'm a vegetarian for almost 30 years now. Maybe it's 28. But 28's getting pretty close to 30. And But just recently, when I was, as like as Doc says, chicken soup, and I was just like, if I could see some benefit in it, that I don't get from other things. It is medicine, and things can be a little bit different when it comes to health and things like that. I'm not a vegan. I mean, my diet on any given day could be largely vegan, and then I'll pull out a quart of yogurt and eat it. Vegan look, vegan is, again, I can sometimes go weeks, depending on whether I'm in the mood for my dairy or not. That would be basically vegan, but I also like honey. But anyway, what I did buy was chicken bone broth. And if you know bones and bone mothers, and obviously some kind of ritual death and rebirth is all over the language I get exposed to. It's in my personal world. And after I just went through for the past couple of days, it seems to be part of the plan. There is so much going on. Yeah, I probably should excuse myself. So anyway, I got this bone broth. All right. So I put some in. Actually, I put it in this bowl, and I just filled it up a little bit. Placed it over on my radiator to heat it up, because I don't like anything hot. I mean, if it has the potential to burn my lips or my tongue, it's too hot to put in my mouth. And I don't enjoy blowing on shit. I mean, I make it the temperature I want, then I can drink it, and I don't have to sit there and play with it. And anyway, so I had this bone broth. And it says, no flavoring or anything in it. No salt. And I don't know who said honey's vegan, but I'll have to answer that question. So anyway, I forgot about it. There would be no salt in it. So it's properly warm. Ugh, let me turn off fucking Facebook. Turn that shit off. Excuse me while I mute, while people bore us with their idiocy. At least bore me. Where's that mute? Mute. There we go. For 8 hours, that'll work. Leave me alone. Again, it's, when I say it's just, I'm talking about from my own perspective, people. But that's what, so let's see, I'm getting all over the place here. But we'll get back to pretending and the classes. And, the bone broth. So anyway, I forgot there's no salt in it. It's warm enough. I pull it to and I take a good slug of it, because I haven't eaten. I mean, I barely ate over the past couple of days. I couldn't drink. Everything made me nauseous. Water made me nauseous. I had to warm up my water. Warm it up so at least it was closer to my body temperature. Now, if anybody's ever drank cold water really quick and you can kind of almost make you nauseous because it kind of shocks your stomach, this is what room temperature water was doing to my stomach. It was like acting. I mean, I've always reacted, poorly. It took me a while to realize how much my body didn't like cold fluids, because with all kinds of reactions and different things. And then finally, I realized, wait a second, my body actually doesn't like it this temperature, in most cases. But for some reason, my personality seems to think it's important. And when I realized, again, that the wisdom of the body, the thing that does the healing, the digesting, and all the brilliance of the design of the body, when it was giving me signals that to, drink something that, would make me hiccup. That's the other, I mean, like if somebody gives me a cold soda and if I were to take a drink, or even a cold alcohol-free beer, if I take a sip of it, it makes me hiccup. It's my body, it's like, it's a shock to my system. So, then I finally got away from all the ice, and just allowing myself to enjoy room temperature. Now, once the weather gets cool, like it is now, I do like warm fluids. I want to take the warmth, but, for how if sometimes it's a little hot when I first put thing, so then I'll just use it to warm my hands. But once it's regular temperature, then I don't have to blow on it. I can just drink it. I don't like hot soup. I remember one time bringing some soup over. We brought some soup over to a party, and I'm just waiting for her to put it in a bowl. I brought it over all cooked up and stuff. They reheat it. They give me a bowl. It's like steaming hot. I mean, like it's like, it's going to be 10 minutes before it's safe to put near her mouth. So anyway, we have so many of these patterns. I don't know where they came from. Pretending. So when I went to school, so I started in the first grade. I was in 1-1. Then I was in 2-2. Then I was in 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. And then when I got to the 6th grade, they didn't have that designation anymore. It was 6, and the room, the main room, I guess the home room, whatever, I can't even remember the terms, and I could care less. But it was like, what class am I in? And they kept it like a fucking secret. Can't know. Finally, somebody somehow figured it out. And I figured out like where we were. So I was in the 6-2 class, and down the hall was the 6-1 class, and it was obviously one or the other, because although the obviously the administrators see a difference between and correctly, they were close enough, which is why a lot of us bounce between them. But this shutdown, where you were not allowed to know where you were, because it might hurt the feelings of others. This is pretending. This is where we're as if to know where we stand, as if we this is how we've done it forever. As part of the structure. It's a natural formation process. It's not an elitism. It's just, staying with the right crew. I mean, no matter what skills you're learning, you're gonna have like apprentice, and you're gonna have other levels. And there are certain things everybody can do together, but there are certain things where the people have a certain skill level that exceeds others. So it's not fair to the lower skill level people to ask them to move any quicker than they wish to, nor is it fair to ask the people who can move along to hang around and get bored in the process. So anyway, so I see that it was back then, in the in when, you know, when I was 11, 12, that they hid where you stood because they thought it made everything better. And like I said, it was the building of the Snowflake Nation. Building of the Snowflake Nation. And then just as I was leaving high school, I saw the end of another era. I was going through high school. I was earning an academic diploma. You know, how to study the sciences and maths. And in my last year, all of a sudden there was no such thing as an academic diploma. I mean, it was kind of like optional, but the general diploma was really what you would get. And so again, this whole, the whole excellence got punished. People, in other words, the people who weren't performing as well could suddenly not know and maybe even pretend that they were doing better than they really were. So anyway, let me check in the thing. I don't want to get, because I feel it's good for me to stop because I might get off on a rant. Where are we here? Where's that live dashboard? There we go. All right, what's going over here in the chat? And who might I need to? Oh, hello, Mari. I don't know if I said. You know, Tamu, there was so many things I could have done if my stomach wouldn't throw everything up. I mean, everything. I had to stop taking my echinacea. I couldn't take vitamin C. I could barely drink enough water to prevent renal shutdown. Fortunately, my kidneys cooperated with me. They went into this kind of... I mean, it's really... Because I really avoided some pretty dangerous dehydration. It wasn't... I wouldn't call it quite a... It wasn't a renal failure. It was a renal cooperation. Where it just wasn't... it wasn't removing the water from my system in the normal fashion. And that lack of removal of water was allowed me to not get dehydrated. I mean, it was... When you work with your body, when you trust the wisdom of your body and get out and allow it to work. And the only way it works is when you stand back and watch. And, you know, you have your own things that normally assist with your body. Your body's working the past. And you just... But you get out of the way. Because, I mean... I'm obviously still a mess. I mean, I wasn't able to... For almost a week, I wasn't able really to hold down. I didn't want to try and waste putting my very pricey whole food mineral vitamins in my stomach if they were going to come up. I'm reading the chat. Let's see if I can get back on track here. So I have a feeling this will not be one of my typical length shows. But I guess one of the reasons I picked this topic is it is this topic, the pretending and the defending of pretension. And how toxic that is. How much of our time it wastes. How unproductive, how off the trail, and all for vanity's sake. All this pretending and defending is nothing than really the vanity, that ego that doesn't know what it is, and it can know what it is, but it's up to the person who manages that ego to get that shit together. Most people are not getting their shit together, but they're pretending that they are. And then if you can find any holes in their language, they will get crazily defensive. And the defenses are even worse than the original things. And you have, anybody else, any other sane person listening to it goes, what the heck is going on here? But so I'm kind of just dealing with that. There's this last bout let me realize, how I got it, why I even would get a virus, because I don't normally get them. I have years of being absolutely no problems, including working. When I worked at Omega, I worked on people getting over colds, flus going around, blah, 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 blah. 7 years I was there, never ill. And then the last year, the last to second, no, maybe the second to last year, when the Lyme disease hit me. Fortunately, it hit me the night that I started my days off and was able to lay in a delirious, sweaty, near coma state for a few days. And I'd get these periods where it was just like a little bit out of it, and I dragged myself the quarter of a mile to the dining hall and feed myself, and a lot during that period was one meal a day. But so I showed up on the day I'm supposed to show up at work. I am feeling like shit, but I'm on time. And I said, "Look, man, I am here, but I am a mess." And I told them I got hit with Lyme disease and I'm coping with the early stages of it. And unfortunately, I had no bookings that day. So that was the only time in my 7 years that I took a day off, but it was going into work to see whether or not I was clear enough to do so. So I started to have to think about, okay, where did my immune system go? What happened to this immune system that I had for years and years and years? And that's when I started realizing that being allowed, pretending is quite toxic. Quite toxic. And so when you do not so basically I realized that I've been experimenting. I've been with the Global Mission of Peace for 3 years, and got very recently, in the past 6 months, I don't know. I don't keep track of months, so I have no idea what the passage of time is. The only reason I know how long I've been with GMOP is because there's a dues that they do, and I know how many months in we're into it. And other than that, I wouldn't know. I mean, I guess I could guess. Honestly, I mean, if I did, I just don't care about all that going backwards. I don't find a whole lot of use in that. So, anyway, realizing that it was a big, this was my big aha, is that, like, what would be toxic for certain people? And like, I'm in this whatever group of people that would be. Excuse me. It's treated like a toxin. So basically, I realized that because and I'm a diehard hermit. That's why Omega was great. I could hermit in my tent. I could socialize twice a day in the lunch room, in the dining hall, and get to know everybody. I sat at a table with only two chairs, usually alone, but occasionally I would get people would say, "Oh, may I join you?" And everybody knew me, and for the important social events, I was always like the ones that everybody went to. I was there. It was important for me to be there. And some of the small anything musical, I was there. But there's a lot of stuff. I dedicated myself to my work day, the people that were going to be on my table that day, that I was in great shape mentally and physically, and then to basically get back to my tent, replay my day, make everything nice. If there was anything in my day that I didn't like, I could redress it tomorrow, and I could get refocused, recentered, and then entering into another day. And obviously, because the way my immune system stayed up, I was doing it right. So that's what I had to do. Realize that my health started getting funky 3 years ago when I started the GMOP thing. Well, I didn't start it. When it began and I got involved and became who I became. Boy, this is cognitive stuff is a little bit difficult tonight. I'll take another look at the chat. I know I'm leaving shit hanging. Well, I gotta let the ladies know you're the ones writing anything of meaning into the chat tonight. So good job, ladies. It's a pleasure. That was a good batch. Oh, lemon and honey, just right. That was good. Oh, the happiest moment of my day so far. Well, waking up on this side of reality is okay. Is pretty good too. Yeah, the whole the internet thing is wonky. Mother has agency. And she has some people's attention, but it's really a small amount. And how do I know it's a small amount? Because I sit in a lot of conversations, and it's like there is no mother. I'll hear about all kinds of non-corporeal beings, but not our mother, not our creator, not the one who sustains us, loves us, and gives us this wonderful planet to exist on. All we have to do is wake up and clean up. That's why I always say, the world sucks. The world, if people, the world's going to end, fucking good, because it has nothing to do with the planet. The planet is not the world. The world is that bogus crap, that system, the machines, the things that make nations war against each other. War is these continued wars are just endless sacrifices to that sick thing that a certain group of people contracted with a few thousand years ago. And then the sickness spread on purpose. And people don't even, I see some of the people, I guess, who are Gnostics, and they can't let go of Jesus, baby Jesus. They were raised in some kind of, anywhere from Catholic, Protestant to, Pentecostal, something like that. And so they're kind of, they're done with Yahweh, maybe, but they load themselves some Jesus. And what's not, again, there's no, Jesus is fine, what composite being, whatever, it's not consequential to who we are and what our thing is on this planet. Jesus is not particularly consequential. And I work with that Christ spirit. It's here. I can feel it around me right now as I'm talking about it. It isn't what people think it is. I had a few people who told me about, especially because they see me and they go, "Oh, you remind me of what Jesus looked like when I had my near-death experience." I said, "Oh, you met Jesus?" "Yes." I said, "I have a very important question to ask you. Did he mention anything about religion or anything that we would normally connect Jesus to? When you met him, did he have anything to say about that?" And she went, "No." And I've asked a few other people, and they're, "Yeah, I never thought about that." Yeah, because he's not connected to it. It's a story. The Jesus story is a Roman, and the Romans are not who they appear to be. And I don't want to get into. I would need to be in a full mental acuity, and I haven't got time to chase after people who are insignificant if we ever wake up. Their power is all magical. I mean, even because the armies that they control are not made up of them. And if the people who made up those armies woke up, they wouldn't be able to do the fuckery they do. I mean, they started, with their own armies and took over things, but now, now it's time for humanity to either, be the sovereigns on this planet. I mean, we had the whole sovereignty movement. What was it about? It was your name, capital letters, your social security number. Did you hear anything about Gaia in the sovereignty movement? Where do you think we get our sovereignty from? And this is the whole thing about pretending. And, or when, or at least pretending that you're doing something when you're not, or you're accomplishing something when you're not. I mean, and of course, maybe we could just lower the bar. I mean, if jerking off is an accomplishment, then it's an accomplishment. People are amusing each other. And in that process of amusing, and they bring, I mean, sometimes like, you read in certain live chats, it's like, there's like new age Tourette syndrome. It's just like people put out all these woke memes. They just throw them out. It's like Tourette's. It's not like, oh, here's a term, and and this has implications like this. It's just like, it's kind of like Federal Reserve, whatever. Come up. I can't even go into conspiracy, and the whole conspiracy thing, as like this whole chasing after conspiracies. What are you gonna do? Why? This is self-amusement, and in many ways self-abuse. I mean, the whole idea of looking at conspiracies is to maybe get to get some intel, intel that works. Okay, what do we got going here? Hey, Lee. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. It is hard to stay focused, especially reading the chat, because I'm having one conversation and there's some Tourette's in the chat here. Now you see, Doc's a very good. Doc is very clear about. Hello, Doc. Welcome. He loves himself some Jesus, and nothing wrong with that. Hello, Jet Pet. I hadn't said hello to you. I find the best QAnon breakdown is happening on Project Avalon. They have a dedicated thread there, and there's about 4 or 5 people that are just like into it. And so I'm able to scroll through. I can see which ones might actually be something thoughtful. There's lots of supposition, and I take a quick look at the supposition. I mean, they're kind of doing a little campfire around it in that thread there. So it's kind of a good way to maybe if you're interested to keep up with that, we're having to do a lot of other. These people know they're doing the work for others, because I know when certain people sometimes will get driven and almost to an obsession to do something, and there can be a good use to that. Yeah, the QAnon, we don't need to know about the QAnon stuff. The QAnon stuff, hi Darcy. The QAnon stuff is really for the sleepers. It's for the woke. And the woke is another pretender's term. I think woke comes with like answer these 15 questions correctly and you are woke. Okay. Day Wookie. Okay. How do you feel about being a stalker, Charles? That's an interesting comment to make. I know, I saw the LOL. Hello, Killendel. Now, there's a sentence that I have. I don't even, I recognize I can read the sentence, but I don't know what it means. It's from Lee Veltman. Defango, have no idea, is an associate, so people think I'm involved with that cicada stuff, and I'm guessing I'm not sure. I don't cicada stuff, and I get lost there. I know cicada as, you know, that thing that makes the sounds in the trees. So, but I have a feeling that that might not be the cicada you're talking about. And since I don't know what Defango is, I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe you could help me out here. If, you know, I mean, if, unless it's just a personal thing of yours, and, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Can't you hear me, Gnostic? The Archons started religions. Starting with the main guys, you know, the big boys. That's why there's 7 archangels. That's why there's, and then of course, you know, oh, I don't want to get into it. Yeah, everybody's kind of got to walk their own path, and you know, my whole, it's just kind of like, I think we should just be connected enough so when Kali takes a look at us, we look like we belong to her. I mean, part of what I went through, and oh, you know something? I never finished that bone broth song, so that's why I better stop looking at the chart, at the chat. So I tasted the bone broth, and it hit me. It was like I had drank elixir of death, but not in, you know, in a alchemical sense. But it was shocking, because here I was, you know, and there was 2 things that were shocking. First of all, I forgot I hadn't put any salt in it. You know, our Bragg's aminos is usually how I put salt into things. Actually, I don't. Bragg's amino does not introduce salt; it introduces sodium. There is a difference. And Bragg's amino as salt. It tastes salty, just like tamari or soy sauce, but there's no salt in it. It's naturally occurring sodium, which will give you the same kind of flavor, but it's sodium, something your body has that, you know, when we use salt to replace like electrolytes and stuff like that, the main reason we're taking in the salt is because we need the sodium. Salt itself is more like a pickler, you know, because with that little chlorine atom in there, and that's why we can brine and pickle things in salt. Sodium is a crucial element in cellular metabolism and conduction of between cell walls, because sodium attracts moisture. So where sodium is in the body, is water will always follow behind it. Anyway, so just before I put it in there, and it tasted like death. It was kind of it was shocking. It was boom, and it was like I was tasting my bones. So I was just really shocked. I mean, it was one thing. It was like, oh yeah, that's right. They said there was no other flavors in here. But it was beyond that surprise. This was like an energy. And actually, that's when a lot of the nausea started. I mean, I was having a little nausea. It was after I did that, my body like almost went into a crisis. Now, it wasn't pleasant. That's not why I was taking like a break. Not, you know, like a one serving break from my vegetarianism to do something that I thought would work fine for me. Man, I couldn't have had a more unpleasant thing that took me days to get over. It could have been coincidental for those of us who believe in coincidences. Yeah. Oh, I've been, you know, what was you know, Dr. When Dr. Bronner was alive, you know, he had his Lost Leader product because he created it to help humanity, and that was his all-in-one mineral broth. It was amazing. You didn't need to refrigerate. It was meant so you could have a survival thing where if all you had was water in this, you would stay hydrated and have all your minerals at the same time. Dr. Bronner died. His son took over the business. Obviously, now the accountants and everybody else comes run in. What are the first thing they do? They take that down. Gone. His father gave that as a gift to humanity. But lawyers don't work for humanity. And accountants and lawyers work together. You can find I mean, there's lots of good accountants. Just human beings. They didn't earn the title Esquire, which is a peerage. Part of British royalty peerage. Fairly low down. But it sure is an American. Yeah, the legal system as a concept is the archontic system. It's the main part of the archontic system. It's what holds their world together. And it's really sad, you know, there's we have brilliant people in the world who'll build their legacy, and they can only stay on the planet for so fucking long So then, you know, so they turned out, you know, their kids are there, and you would think that the kids who've lived well because of what their parents did would try to continue it. No. Rarely does that happen. Because they came up too fucking easy. Well, of course, real estate, I mean, we don't have to go back very far. We could probably still find people in the world. The ownership of property is a completely archontic idea. You know, I mean, that's why we go, oh, you know, owners, you know, pillar of American free, blah, 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 blah. I don't want any archontic pillars. I'm sorry. I'm keep on pulling at my beard. I'm just. I'm actually. You know, physically, I'm miserable. You know, I think. You know, even though it's a subdued light in my eyes, and I definitely have some. I have some anger. It's not simmering and long. It's an honest. Enough is enough kind of anger. And it's really interesting. I mean, for a lot of people who are here are also familiar with what Rox has been doing over the past couple of months. Again, anybody can correct me on time because I'm not even trying to get the time right. It doesn't matter to me. But you know, he has. I mean, he'll be saying you know, it's amazing to listen to a show where he'll come out with stuff and just blow me away because it's mother. And yeah. Hello, Niche. And so hello. The Raksha did a beautiful ritual the other day. I think it was on I was on, what is today? I guess it was on Thursday. I don't know. He did it. It was very recently. Raksha, the anger is speaking to pretending. The continuation of the same old, thinking we're going somewhere new with the same shit. That I guess, you know, it's that bullshitting each other to keep each other's keep each other's egos properly inflated. The seeming allure of the superfluous, ephemeral, and shiny things, and the complete ignoring of what endures. And so far, the world is a mess, but the planet has endured. when there's a frustration with the lack of perception and the endless blowing smoke up each other's ass. Yeah. I mean, Doc, it's amazing. I will still sometimes see, I think maybe even once on my comment. So the comment is first. In what fucking world do you live in that matters? That means anything? What fucking world do you live on that writing first means something? I mean, I'm fucking serious. Children. First. Unbelievable. You're welcome, Raksha. I love you dearly. You know, and the beautiful thing, the fact that there are people who are listening to the mother and trying to help her, which means help us. The people who get it make sense to me at every level. There's no wasted words. There's no filler. And so we're able to kind of, I guess this the whole thing that Raksha has said it, and I'm kind of just following it. It's been saying it for months. Enough is enough. We're going to get to the point where it's not going to be just a saying. Enough is enough. There's going to be real world effects in it, and what those are don't need to be elucidated because until they happen, we don't know what the fuck they are. Yeah, somebody brought up, George Carlin was brilliant. Yeah, he was brilliant. Too bad all the assholes who've listened to him over the years decided to listen to him as a comedian. Because if they had actually thought he was truly brilliant and had something important to say, they wouldn't have been laughing so much at all that. I mean, he was, in many ways, George Carlin was giving people the goods, and at the same time he was mocking them as they paid him. He was mocking the morons in the audience. And that's, my thing is, George Carlin is brilliant. Yeah, too bad everybody just decided to laugh at him. He's a comedian. Oh, that's brilliant. But he's a comedian. Let's laugh. Yep, Bill Hicks, another one. It was real. I mean, he really went places. He was such a other person besides Carlin to go into that space. Sandy, deep, shiny nuggets. Like, nuggets, pearls of wisdom, that type of stuff. Okay, good. So I am. This is what is kind of interesting, and if I seem a little like more plugged in than usual, part of it is the spirit of the bone mother. If you know what, hey Raksha, if I think I can find that. Can I read that? Would that be okay to read those words? If I can find them. Raksha nice. Actually speak, we exchange quite a bit of information. You know, it's like, oh, it was just yesterday. Oh, we said a lot. Okay, I don't. I thought it was just gonna be looked through. No. Yes, thank you. Dee-dee-dee. All right. Unfortunately, I can't find it. I don't. So I. But it was. The beauty of it was a ritual of world cleansing. You know, of cleansing as many as possible. And it's to me it's beautiful, and it asks the bone mother basically to reduce us, basically take us back for temporarily, take us down, so that those of us who belong on this planet can be reborn, and that those who don't belong here stay dead. In other words, we all die together. The bone mother reawakens those who know her. So when he did that ritual, that was what began at least the process that would go with what appeared to be the virus. Maybe the virus was the tool for the bone mother to just about kill me, or to be at the edge of like, you can take me now. But I don't go there anymore. There's all kinds of we got work to do. I get the feeling that Mother needs my hands, not my spirit, on her somewhere. And also, you know, I got nice people here. I don't want to leave them a dead body to deal with. You know, that means the police and ugh. No, I just, you know, but I almost felt like that was kind of like part of it. It was like part of the death ritual was like, gee, death would be a reward. And so it was really quite profound, but there was a rage, and I would, if I'm going to pick it to that aspect of our mother, it's Kali. Kali is kind of a Buddhist concept. But she's also known as Kali Ma. Bone Mother is known as Kali Ma. And in the Buddhist thing, she's kind of like this rampaging, wearing of skulls, and sticking her tongue out. You know, it's a pretty gruesome thing. It's coming out of, you know, a tradition where they, you know, the gods battle each other and stuff. But there is an aspect of our mother that gets mad. Yeah, it was really, you know, I met, talking about um, paying 30% interest. And I was speaking to a very delightful lady who had been born in Floyd and then returned to Floyd after living away for a while. And I was telling her, as somebody only who's just been here for not even quite 2 years yet, what attracted me to it, what I liked about it. I liked the fact that the two kind of basic populations, which were the hippies, and then you have you know your basic Appalachian people, and how since they've been living together for 30 years, they get along just fine. We each know each other's value. And I told her how much that's one of the reasons I like about Floyd is I like that Appalachian spirit, the music, and they can do it, and I just and just being in the Blue Ridge Mountains is pretty freaking cool. So she told me, oh yeah, I got a nice little piece of property I got myself now on with an acre and a half and blah 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 blah. Okay. So I'm like, an acre and a half. I said, boy, yeah, that's a fair, that's, as far as a property that you can use, that's, that's a lot of property to use, unless you put it under some pretty big production. So then she was saying, oh yeah, her daughter's is going to be moving back, and she's looking, she's looking for some property and whatever. I said, why don't you just give her a quarter acre of your own on your property? This way here, you're like actually living together like a family again. Oh, well, she has other ideas. She has big ideas. What's a better idea? I mean, it's just a shame. She would do it. She would actually let her daughter move in there and give her a piece of her property. But no, her daughter has bigger ideas. This is that striving after the ephemeral. You have bigger ideas, and in our society, bigger ideas cost more money. And all you get to do, and it's not like that money has any kind of return. That money is paid for your vanity. You're paying that money for your vanity, for how you're perceived. And it's a little bit of a combination of like what you think would be, that this means that you've hit the big time, or what you have all these strange things of what living on this planet in a loving, responsible way that little by little starts to demolish the system. Less taxes on property. I mean, we should just figure out how, first of all, the closer we live together, the more we start having teams. And I mean, think of how, to me, it's a lot easier for me. When I lived at Omega, all I had to do was walk everywhere for people I wanted to interact with. I didn't need to get in a car. And the fact that we need to get in a car to do almost anything these days, what does that do? It means you need a car. Needing a car sucks. Paying the insurance, the maintenance, the gas, how much, when does this pursuit of the ephemeral click into people that you're feeding the system that most of the truthers are railing against? What they did today. Well, you know what we did today? We gave them a whole lot of money from all our vanity pursuits. That's what we did. We kept them strong. Because nobody's thinking shit through. I shouldn't say nobody. Scratch that remark. Bogus nonsense remark. Okay? There's just a lack of interest. As a general thing, there's lack of interest in the right things. There's tons of curiosity. Much of it morbid curiosity. and I might be bending that term morbid because I'm not. But to me, it's the equivalent of, you know, trying to slow down if you could to see how bad an accident was. I never slow down. I don't care. I'm not in the accident. The only thought that occurs to me is there, but you know, thank the gods. I am not. I wasn't in that, and it looks fairly bad. I don't. If I look, I don't need to traumatize myself a little bit more. Mm. I learned a lot when I was at Omega because I lived in a tent that I pimped out, and just through creativity. It developed over the years, and in the last couple of years, it was like, you know, this little. It wasn't just a tent because it was on a platform that had just a little bit of a peak on it that came down with some, you know, just a real skeleton. And I put over these huge tarps, and I created a back porch, and I had a front porch that came all the way down, feet out from my front, kept all my storage there. I had rugs in my tent. The first rug was like a normal office rug. That was where, so that way my chair, the same chair I'm sitting on now, I was in my tent. So I had this thin rug that would protect the floor of the tent, and so that's what I entered into. And then there was a partition, and I had another rug, but this one had a foam padding on it, and that's where I had my bed and my bureau and my TV to play my DVD players. I mean, I had it, and it had, and I had, you know, would have things like my bats and all my gargoyles and stuff. And so it was just obvious. When you approached my tent, that you were approaching my tent. But I just loved it. I loved the fact that, and especially if if it hadn't been for the fact there was New York, and that meant, you know, the winter. It was just so beautiful that I could, you know, maintain all of this in the tent. I was in the woods. I went to sleep with the insects all around me. Yeah, occasionally I had to hear a kill in the forest and some bones crunching, but that's nature. And unpleasant, yeah, but to get over it. It wasn't like I was trying, you know. It was just like yeah. Usually the hardest part is when they're grabbing the prey, and then you can hear it trying to get, and then you can hear as whoever the predator is moves around and finally closes off the throat. You know, but that's how, you know, millions of people still can experience. I mean, there are people out in the country who know what I'm talking about. But the big difference is the difference between being in a regular wall and, you know, fabric really cuts out a lot of sound. So when you just have fabric between you and what's going on outside in the woods, it's kind of like you're there. And one of the things that I am very pleased about is my sisters really seem to be doing, we all have to catch up. We all had catching up to do. As a group, we have to catch up, as when, within that group, you got some who were, and you got other people there, but we're a group. It's we. But my sisters, I just, they seem to get it. They get it. The men, a lot of men seem to still be, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. But it is the time of the divine feminine. And that's, that's what I'm looking for. This isn't about women. This is about the divine feminine. And the divine feminine finds its expression both in men and women, but when it finds its expression in men, it's divine masculine. But it's the same energy. Because it's androgynous, ultimately. Another interesting thing that happened to me in the course of the, if you notice, you haven't seen me smoke a cigarette. I don't think I've had 8 cigarettes, or I think it's around 8 cigarettes since Wednesday. And I'm not unhappy with that at all. There were a few times, it was funny, so I was able to kind of get a cigarette, and sometimes that cigarette would just last me for 6 hours, 8 hours. The most bizarre thing that happened was when I went to have a cigarette inside, and I remember when I first started smoking, I had it was like it was meant to be always smoked as a medicine herb outside. It was meant for communing with Mother. Clear the archons through the tobacco, get jiggy with Mama. And so I lit up one in my room just to kind of do that, and to my amazement, the smoke from my own cigarette stunk up my room. It was like suddenly, I wish I could get those windows open. I want to get this tobacco smoke out of my room. It was just cloying. It was horrible. It was icky. So then I said, well, maybe I should go out into this, like a room between, it's just like a little empty roomish type thing. And I think, it's there's a lot more, space there. Same effect. When I went outside, then it was acceptable. It was like this cigarette smoke, my body could no longer be around even my own cigarette smoke in a closed environment. So that was, the past couple of days have been a rebirth. It wasn't about the odor, Maori. It was about the energy. I have plenty of incense. It was talking to me. Yeah, this wasn't about odor. All right. I might have to carry this about as far as I can. I'll I'll kind of follow the chat a little bit. Maybe get a different conversation going on in the chat, but there's not, so far, there hasn't been much going on in the chat that I can kind of join in. It's like there's another conversation going on there, which is interesting. I'm having my conversation here and another conversation there, and as a moderator with Moose, you know, for months, I know what it's like. To like, Moose is given some of the most important things I've ever heard being said, and people are you know, doing their stand-up comedy act in the chat. Not sure why. Other people decide to tell their life story while Moose is giving a teaching. Don't know why. Yeah, good luck with the Patreon account. I think the Patreon thing, I think a lot of people are getting into it right now. I made a decision not to. Because I've been hearing other people describe it, you know, the things and the entries, and it's all this stuff, and it's, you know, it kind of reminds me of buying a GoDaddy website where there's all these like templates to work from. But I actually applaud it. I think we deserve our own economy. You know, that we do what we want to do. It's good. We're going to have to get real creative in how the two worlds work, and they keep the system moving. But I think so. Like I listened to Randy Maugans and Emily Moyer talk about their thing, and that was kind of like. And then I've heard a few other people, and it's just like, you know what? The way Patreon is set up itself, and the way, you know, you create this and you create that and you create that, it's just, it's so much of a template. But I think that people who feel that they need to do this should do it. I have a feeling that certain people might do well. Because I think that once some of the people who've you know, decided it's time for them to do this, do it, and we get a couple of months down the road, I think the reflections on what we did are going to be interesting. Oh yeah, steam it for sure, Kaylin. That's one of the reasons why to me, you know, Patreon. Wow. Yeah. You know, I haven't been able to stay out of like some form of personal crisis for a couple of weeks since this has all been going through. But now that I've identified some things that I need to do, that I'm already doing, and I know it's going to make a difference. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is something I'm actually, people are doing it. It's like, go, please, you know, do it. I think some people are going to get some needed relief. But because of people like yourself, Tamu, I think after this has been done for a while, my sense is it's going to be a revisiting of what we've done. And yeah, I know I sound like I was getting. I didn't actually, when I said I'm kind of done with my delivery. Now what I'm just doing is I'm interacting with the chat, so we'll keep it there. And yeah, Lee If you want to know about, by the way, Callan Lee, one of the things, the way I kind of picked him is he happened to, he's been posting things on Minds too. And so I'm, the modern day wizard was what he had referred to himself. I said, okay, I got some people will do that and I'll be like, ooh, and some people do it and I go, ooh, a brother, okay. So, and so I just managed to contact him and he's been great. He's great. Me keeping up with what he's willing to do with me has been the problem. Thank you, Callan. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, he knows how, he has steam figured out, and as he mentioned there, what one of his videos did. And so in many ways, while I'm sitting here trying to get out of my own way, one could say, oh, you're losing money, but you can't lose money you didn't make. All right, so we should always get rid of that nonsense. That's the stuff that drives people to kill people for money. You can't, oh, we've lost money. Did you have it? If you didn't have it, you couldn't lose it. Yeah, I mean, he's out there just doing stuff and having problems and fixing problems, and then everything gets shared. Callan is good stuff. The modern day wizard. And I like yurts. Like we have a yurt maker in town, and they make this grand yurt that it's 30 feet in diameter and 10 feet high, and they have a model there, and it actually has has a dormer on the ups thing, and it has like a pellet stove and a real kitchen, regular bathroom, a full bedroom, and then there's a spare bedroom. Amazing stuff. Unfortunately, it's gassed out, but they use, excuse me, they use, some form of, let's say it's not canvas. It's not natural. And, well, my tent was a 12 by 13 tent. And just, it worked really well. But I remember I went, I checked out the big yurt, and then they also had just a small, I think it was a 16-foot in diameter yurt. And it had recently gone up. And that's when I first got my whiff of apparently when these fabrics first go up, like so many, whether it's a rug, whether it's a this, with the modern manufacturing, there's that toxic off-gassing that until it's complete, I mean, if somebody say, oh, it off-gasses forever. Look, there's a difference between when it's off-gassing and when it's going to, trickle some stuff out. Huge difference. Yeah. There we go. So, Callan, as soon as I can get in my own way, I so want to do this with you. It's actually tied in with, it's part of what I want to get accomplished right away. Billboard vinyl. There's two. There's this one that's called Starfire, and it actually looks like a real fabric. It's a durable one, but I noticed that one was a little bit gassy when fresh. And I mean, the upside to those things is because they're not made of natural fibers, you don't have a lot of mold and other problems because there's no food for them. So the advantage of that would be like, oh, and that sounds like it would be preferable. The energy living when you're in an enclosed area, you're either, if you're in a fabric that is not bioresonant, you've kind of cut yourself off from the resonance. Blue Ridge Mountain yurt, Sandy. I can't, her name's either Sharon or Kathy. I see her all the time, and I actually want to approach her for doing some live streams with Uncle Butchie in kind of the corner of her shop factory there while I promote her yurts. Delightful lady. Oh, you know something? I'm not a person who needs caps. Because I'm just focusing here now, and I'm like, everything is kind of going by. Callan, you have been great. I mean, here's a guy who comes on and really lays it and lets me know what he can do for me. I tell him I need some space, and he just backs off, doesn't bug me, but he's right there for me. This man has shown himself to me to be, you know, a modern day wizard. No, I'm in Southwest Virginia. I'm in Floyd, Virginia. And we have the Blue Ridge Mountain Parkway here, too. Okay. No more praise for Callan until the next show. You know, if I was a little effusive, part of it is just, again, I'm part of this existential crisis has been trying to find what's real. And there is so, I mean, real, I guess I'm going to talk about in in a more of a ultimate sense. And so it's just very rare that I run into people that I come away feeling, the exchange was a healthy one, beneficial, and that there was dignity and honesty in all the exchanges. It's like a handful of people that I'm not half the time. I mean, it's gotten very tricky, but I've experimented. I spent a lot of months doing things differently than I've ever done them. Got a lot of information, learned some new skills. But there's gonna be an adjustment made for my sanity and my health. Case in point, Nah, never mind. Is it 4-person is pretty nice size. I mean, mine was I think it was 12 by 13. It had a, and it depended on where you were at. There was like these, the entrance could be, it was like on opposite sides of the walls. It was sweet, very very sweet. Coleman made Coleman was the campers. You could count on them. I mean, in kind of like back when camping got started in America. Coleman was great stuff. Well, I didn't stay in the winter. They closed down at the end of October. I mean, I did. There was one time just at the end of October before we left, we got we got like 8 inches of snow. Yes, Tamu, I do. I've been too sick. I mean, anytime I got any energy the past couple of days, I had to try and make myself something to eat. I'm alone, as far as my care. So if I want a glass of water and I feel like, I want to die, I still have to do it. If I want a bowl of soup, I have to get up and make it. And so, it just a lot. Sometimes I can't. I don't have the energy. Somebody just making me a piece of toast would have been like a gift from the gods. Oh yeah. But I don't have that. So basically, for me, I'm used to not ever getting ill, and I'm sick and tired of this, and it was never my reality until I took certain steps in my life, starting 3 years ago, and they have to do, in both cases. It's involved with communities who want to make the world a better place. And want to make the world a better place. I forget where I was going. I was reading Nisha's thing. Okay, this flu is very weaponized. I mean, it is very clear to me they want to kill us. Them. The people who are them? Whoever makes these viruses. I don't know who. Some agency. Charles, your energy is at the core of it, and so what I have to do is stop. I have to be more penurious with my energy. As far as pick. Yeah. This fucking thing. Yeah, have some energy. Yeah, I will. Once there are a lot of things that there are a lot of attachments that are going by the wayside, and that'll make a big difference for me. Oh, minerals. My very, very ridiculously expensive Solgar food source organic stuff is really good stuff. And it's all about the minerals. Yeah. Brandon hitting on Tamu. tell her that too, but she'd think I would be hitting on her, so I don't tell her that. I remember I had a friend of mine, and I just told him he would overextend himself in things he could do, and he said he runs into a problem. I said I take what I commit to seriously, so I'm penurious with my word, and he found that funny. Yeah, I wasn't really being serious, Brandon. Yeah, Doc, vaccines are interesting. To me, one of my biggest issues with so much that's going on is how poorly important things get handled by not discussing or putting things in proper perspective. The fact that there's a pro-vax or the thing is, what about just choice? See, this is what they don't want to get into the conversation. That people have the right to choose, and that should be understood. And then there's this whole thing, and again, it makes no sense if you go, well, if your kids are unvaccinated and my kids are unsafe. Your kids are vaccinated. Shut the fuck up. And leave my kids alone. And it's people... So you have pro and anti-vaccine. They're both stupid. Choice is what you want. If you want to educate people what you've discovered that might not be out there, fine. But, I'm not pro or anti-vaccine. They're out there. They should not be mandated. There should be nobody forcing anyone to get it. If you think that I went through all the childhood diseases. That's why I'm fully immunized for the rest of my life. No booster shots required. Oh, well, why are booster shots required? First of all, they're not. It's a money thing. So to me, anybody, this is just like what they've done is they've turned vaccine talk into politics. And just like politics, it's always about creating two sides because it's all shit. It's all bullshit. It's not about freedom. And so the whole thing when it comes to vaccines, if they're available, obviously there might be some parents who think they're a good idea, then please, they're there. Free market, make your own choices. But this whole mandating of schools and all the rest of the stuff, it makes no sense. But I was able to find a monetary, again, a monetary thing. But so the vaccine companies have their own monetary thing, and probably all the people, the bigwigs in the education departments who create these vaccine schedules or have made sure they've invested stock into these things, whatever. But even when I went to school, when schools are paid by the state based on attendance. Okay? So when you're out a day, that's a day they don't get paid for you. So during my years through school, as I was occasionally out 2 weeks at a time, those illnesses were 2 weeks my local school didn't get paid because I was absent. Um, um, where was I going? I mean, look, I mean, it's just endless horror stories, and I'm trying to bring some clarity to it. So again, it's just sometimes I'll go, but my kids would be a risk if your kids aren't vaccinated. Do you have enough science to know what the fuck what you did not express? I mean, the whole thing you gave your kids the vaccines is so they would be immune. What are you getting them immune from? You're getting them immune from the people who want to do it old school and get real immunity. Good night, Jessica. And it just makes me crazy because I go into my own thing and I've had to set the place, GMOP, I've had to set it straight a few times. Pro-vaccine, they were all talking about, oh, don't get them. But they make you, so the whole thing is we have to get back, the main thing is freedom of choice around this. And that conversation, and the fact that it is completely nutty to scream about your kids being exposed to the unvaccinated kids when they're vaccinated is like the only concern you should have is whether the vaccine that you put in your kids is effective. That's your concern, not my kid. My kid is my kid. Your kid is your kid. I won't tell you what to do with yours. Stay out of my fucking kid's life. Well, I'm 65 too, David, and the only vaccines I ever had, I had that one smallpox one that was my first smallpox apparently was, I don't even remember the first one, that little thing. Then they did that scrape and they reapplied it externally. And that was that. And then there were 2 sugar cube vaccines in school. Those are it. There was 3 vaccines for me in school. 2 polio, and there was that smallpox, the smallpox booster. Now, when you look at the original smallpox vaccine, and I'm pretty sure it was developed by Jenner. He had realized that when other people were getting all smallpox, that the milkmaids seemed to be immune to it. And then he found that very often the milkmaids would get something from the udders that was called cowpox, and they'd sort of get like a little like dermatitis or something on their hands, and then it would clear up. And no, it wasn't tetanus. Tetanus is a regular shot. I don't even know if I can. I don't know if I can even get my shirt up. I don't even see that thing anymore. It's been so long. No, I mean it was no big deal. They had this unique little kind of wand that had lots of little sharp nubs on it, and they just kind of scratched the skin, open, irritated a little bit, abraded it, and then they took whatever their culture and did it. But the original one was actually wholesome. And then I guess he had figured out some way of kind of getting some of the pus or something from those and developing some kind of vaccine that seemed to work. Smallpox, smallpox ain't the measles, man. Okay, I mean, I had the measles. I had the mumps. I had chickenpox. Whooping cough. Whooping cough was brutal. Would I recommend a vaccine for it? No, but it's, unless somebody could develop a really clean vaccine. That's the other thing. There might actually be natural things that could be introduced to us in ways that would help. But the people making this are not life-oriented. We're dealing with death cult. And that has to be understood. Anybody who doesn't realize this world is run by a death cult is missing the picture. There is no argument. If you have an argument, I can't hear you. It's run by a death cult. Get that in your fucking head and understand it. Okay. So anyway, I should probably close this down only because I'm looking at myself. It's like, look at what these poor people have to look at, this wreck of a man. I'll get better, but there's no way I was going to be able to make this sick dog look healthy. And I couldn't shampoo all that silly stuff. Hey, Suze, how are you? Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, well, it's an ongoing thing, and I always, the thing is, I always am looking for the fun and what's wholesome, and like, just like I don't rubberneck at accidents. I try to take in my energy with some care. Yes, I am fine with healing energy from you, Tamu. Thank you. I actually have, I'm so used to being in certain hangouts where I don't have mute switch. Now, I haven't noticed the stars being out of place, but I am noticing more and more people seeming to be losing their minds. Their cognition. I mean, there are certain people that I don't know. There is a bifurcation going on of some sort. And I think it's a wheat chaff kind of thing, but it's just a bad wheat and chaff is that's kind of like the last step. When is that last step? Mama will decide. Yeah, the saddest thing, and what's frustrating is better, is that this isn't, what I'm running into isn't directed at any one in particular. Let me stay focused on niche before. Come on, man, where'd my chat go? Yeah, I'm not, it's, people are, because of like kind of like where I went there, where people are pretending, and they're so lost in pretense. When you call out pretense, then you get the defense. And if and the sad thing is, the pretense is distasteful enough. The defense of the pretense is when you start going, no, I just have to leave before a murderous rage crosses me. It's just gotten, I can't I cannot continue to be bullshitted. And I know that people aren't personally bullshitting us. They're just full of shit and they don't know it. And they won't look at it. So there's just all this shit being talked, and they're blowing smoke up each other's ass and telling each other how brilliant, they're funny, the joke, oh, that's clever and whatever. It's sad. And I just, and for some reason it just got the point, certain words were just like zinging me, and but it's all, I mean, I'm glad, I mean, that effect was needed for me to realize I have work to do, and I have some rearranging of furniture to do, because some of the furniture smells like ass. All right, since I finished that niche, I can go back because I saw Suze Pratt said something. Okay, we're on the streets. Is it coast? Mary visit that fucked up. Yeah, you know something? It's who said that? Was it Lee? Yeah, I used to make jokes about common sense and critical thinking, but then people thought I wasn't joking and things got weird. It is really funny that what occurred to me here? No, I had a thought, but I should have just said it. And okay. Yeah, well, one of the endless talk is the defending of the pretending. If they say, I mean, the last thing they want to do is slow down enough where you might start to go, okay, let's walk through this a little bit. And that's when it gets scary. To call bullshit on pretending is to enter into the bizarro twilight zone, to enter into the dark recesses of our collective shadow self. But yeah, it's and it's in the language. It's in the language that this stuff is occurring. And that's what, listening to language. And I just wish we would, when we decide to talk or type, we say things of consequence. And it doesn't, I don't mean serious, just of like some gravitas. Yes, David. Words are the spells, and the pretenders keep on trying to maintain their spell over themselves. I mean, they're not. I don't feel any personal sense of trying. Somebody wants to deceive me. I'm not the one deceived. They are. I'm trying to be a brother. Or, and if I say, and then they get all defensive, it's it's a shutdown moment there. People are, it's not malice at a personality intention level. It's just being lost in the sauce and not knowing it. I mean, it's sometimes even it's like sometimes, and some of the answers you get is, it's like, it's in the, the non sequitur kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, it's like you're talking about one subject, and I don't know, growing hemp in Canada, and then somebody goes, "Yeah, it's so beautiful in Tahiti." If I'm talking about growing hemp in Canada, and I'm expecting to keep the conversation about growing hemp in Canada, Tahiti does not. Why anybody would bring into Tahiti? Oh, I went to Tahiti. It was beautiful. I'm talking about growing hemp in Canada, not your tourism. People will change the subject. You could be having some of the more deep conversation, and if someone wants something you reminds of something that they've done, the next thing you know, we're talking about what they did. And we all are going to be facing this. And that's one of the problems. Once you kind of get straight with yourself, that's when it really gets tricky. But that's when you want to know the people who will help keep you sane while everything is going into adjustments. And everything sorts itself out and finds its own level. Yeah. I agree, Niche. Like I said, there is a big problem is fortunately we don't use it, but it's kind of like the woke phenomena. Was it required to be woke? I guess you got to know about the Federal Reserve, Jekyll Island, the Rothschilds. And of course, throw in some Zionism here and there, and where's some other boogeymen that show that you're woke. I don't know, but do you know? This was pretty funny. I went on to the one not the One Truth. Illuminati. I mean, it's and they had this. Apparently, a video came out, and most important video. He puts King. I don't know. Tutankhamun's tomb was a hoax, something like that. But anyway, it was like, it's a hoax. Or might be a hoax. Important. And I'm like, what world do you live in? This world is a hoax. Our governments are hoaxes. The financial system is a hoax. The medical system is a hoax. Our police system, our legal system is a hoax. Tutankhamun is important? Do you understand? Does anybody share my frustration with how fucking... I don't even have words for it. I'm serious. I don't have words for some fucking modern person who thinks they're woke, thinks that King Tut's tomb might be a hoax in a world of hoaxes everywhere. What the fuck? This is what I'm dealing with. And this is in the woke crowd. all the the bloodlines all come out of some basically start in the Sumerian nonsense. That's where look, there's a priesthood that's some thousands of years old and it's been wending its way and infiltrating, and that priesthood has representatives everywhere on this world. And that's it. Some people want to call them names, and it's not important. It's a priesthood. They have been acting the same way, and then they all kind of branch off of these families, and it's just so funny. The bloodlines are their claim to fame. First of all, to me, a royal bloodline is chew on that, royals. I got no truck for them. Now, if a royal shows up and has some talent, well, we can properly place you based on your talent, but your blood, fuck off. That's their game. That's it, because they don't have shit. What they have is a bunch of spells wrapped around us, and the biggest one are the monotheisms. So my big frustration is that people think, again, this person must watch important. What impact in the world that is a mess does King Tut's tomb have on anything? No, but in my little narcissistic world where everything is about me and I found this, you must all watch this because this is important. So I just feel like, those of us who understand are getting wise, and we'll just hang together and weather the storm together, and we will survive. Mama needs us to survive. And it is about entering into her dream. There's a dream going on. And more and more, I'm just trying to wake to when I wake up out of bed, I'm now entering her dream, but it's a shared dream, and it's time for me to get lucid with it. Just before I got hit with the illness, Rox and I were having, and a lot of other people, because that's how we knew there were so many synchronicities. There was just this. Boy, I'm really having cognitive continuity issues tonight. Okay, it'll probably come back to me. Doc, now you want to say another thing. Like you said, you could make a thing on a baked potato, and you get more views in Gnosis. Oh yeah, sometimes when I'm going and I'll see, Episode 5 of SpongeBob SquarePants, 5.3 million views. Do you know how unencouraging that kind of thing is? David, I don't know. To me, that's lowered expectations. But if one person gets a lift in spirit, that's when we can. That's when it gets sloppy. When we just think, like no matter what. Oh well, as long as one person. Somebody can always benefit. We're gonna have to clean up what we allow. We have to become immunocompetent. Yeah, there are things with millions of views unless they're, by children are on the internet, then fine. But I mean, these are like crazy views of nothing. Nothing. I mean, yeah. But things are, I mean, in many ways, that's like a legacy. The other thing is, last night I just like, oh, what kind of semi-mindless video could I listen to, just kind of help me fall asleep? And I went to, I guess, Podcast Affiliates. I think that's the name of it. I got to tell you, it was like did something happen? I mean, occasionally I would find something to watch. I mean, it was almost like, Mama has agency, and she decided to be funny about things. It looks to me like my picture's particularly fuzzy tonight. I don't know. I mean, I didn't change anything. But it was like, okay, I went there, and the titles were like, how, like, when you, not the Inquirer and the Star, they were, kind of like the respected rags. Please pay attention to anything Raksha puts into the chat. It's quality. It's there. It's put there so that we may avail ourselves of it. In other words, a meal is being served. Where was I? Yes, Charles, immunocompetency or immunocompetency. Did you ever hear there's four, like there's, I forget, I don't think it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. I can't always keep up with all these names. It's like, I guess, and it's about competency. So apparently there's the competent. So you have conscious competence and unconscious competence. So conscious competence is you're competent at something and you know it. Unconscious competence is that you are competent at something, but you're not quite aware of it. You can do it, but you're not quite aware of just how competent you are. But you're competent nonetheless. Then there's conscious incompetency, which means that you're incompetent and you know it and you're probably trying to hide it. But the real big problem, they're not so hard, really. Although they are difficult. The big one for me is unconscious incompetency. Okay. Unconsciously incompetent has been the product of the school system. Unconsciously incompetent is what happens when you get performance, like showing up awards. When, like, they started in my 6th grade, they stopped telling you what grade you're in so that you can remain unconsciously incompetent. Because you don't even know where you stand anymore. They won't tell you. So that, and the people who wouldn't have been necessarily in the 1 or 2 class think that they are in the 1 or 2 class now. Because yeah, but those I don't know how deep. I mean, let me read what Raksha has to say. I'm not talking about not focusing on the positive. I'm talking about not making what's superfluous and fluffy and basically a waste of all our time into something. I mean, again, it's, no, that's a turd. Please stop trying to put a sugar coating on it. Well, welcome back, Jessica. Yeah, that's much of a lot of the anger that is coming through me tonight. I don't feel like it's solely my own. Yeah, and also, chat really sucks. You have a disadvantage. I can talk. You're left there typing. Not a very fair way of conducting conversation. Boy, I gotta go get more of my stuff. Strawman, competent. So that's a big part of this. This unconscious incompetence is a big problem in the world today. And it comes from years of a school system that didn't want to tell anybody where they stood because somebody's feelings might be hurt. So now the quality of society is not what's important. Somebody's feelings. And this is where you have to balance. Are you part of a whole? Do you belong to something? Does the health of that something and the vibrancy and the kind of like enhancing of the genetic material that will go forward, the things that do that are from, being able to get real data. Yeah. Anyway, again, David, I'm not, I'm obviously on the edge. So if you weren't trying to sugarcoat a turd, my apologies. And you want to, people that go, maybe it's not so nice, who's competent, who's incompetent. No, of course. And to me, amongst humans, the competent help the incompetent. But you want if you're going to help somebody, it's can be a real, let's have a real problem to deal with. These days we get you get it's fortunately it's finally slowing down. But for a while you had, the victim sweepstakes. Yeah, Doc, this whole offense, I mean, we need to be tougher. It's those knocks and bruises and stuff that gives you how you can go out there and not fold because it rains. Dave, we're all to me, those of us who take the time out to spend time with each other, get into the chats and stuff, we are all doing the good work. Yeah, schools have just become, this is why we're going to have to start figuring things out. It's like, well, you got to send them to school because you can't afford this school. We just have to fucking build it. That's because we're living in the system they built. We're going to have to figure, how do we do this differently? And there's a big, you have to realize politics is total bullshit. Governments are bullshit. as far as a government that was it retain exclusive monopoly on violence? I mean, come on. I mean, that's right. That's right, Nisha. I mean, I've been like, the last two have been like anybody else would have gone to an emergency room. And but I find that this is, if I go to an emergency room, they're going to violate my body. They don't have any respect for bodies. You are a client. You're there to make them money. Your healthy body is an affront to their industry. An affront. For me, David, what the reason reality keeps on coming into greater and greater contrast is getting closer and closer to the planetary sovereign intelligence, Sophia. Once you wake up and go, okay, another day in my consciousness, we're going to spend together and, presencing what is natural and real. As you kind of enter into her dreaming more and more, there's no nuance. There's no nuance. It's like black and white. It is black and white at that point, because there is all that's natural and wholesome that originates from her, and then there's the other stuff. And it has a different feel, and it's got a different language. Yeah, and ignorance is not. I don't think ignorance, even when used correctly, is ever an insult. It's like, we need. It's getting clear on something. And I have, said, oh, yeah, I'm ignorant on that, or I don't know. I mean, everybody is so afraid as if they don't know. And it's this fragility of who they are. I guess maybe when you get into adult life and they're no longer handing out those free awards for writing your name on a piece of paper. It's just, we don't fix it until we stop going, well, they did it to us. Fuck them. Let's get to work. Fuck them. Enough already blaming them. It's the beauty. When we're empowered, we talk about we talk about us. The people who are still not with the program are talking about what they are doing. And I see it in all the chats. Oh, they're this. Oh, they this. Oh, they this. Oh, they this. So in when those languages start showing up, the conversation is about them. Many of us are trying to have a conversation about us. And that's what, it's just them. Now, of course, yeah, they are the dance partners. But, stop paying attention to them so much so that you actually have a few neural cycles or, to devote to us. I mean, to me, the whole, in my opinion, the whole conspiracy thing, the whole thing, a new conspiracy, man, that is so 2017. To me, it was already starting to have a smell that was like kind of like past use state. But enough already with that. There's, but there will people who will like that, so they can go do it. But there's going to be people, to me, one of the big, one of the kind of one of the differences. And this is frustrating. Part of where I get stuck on words is I don't want to read misunderstandings. And oh my God. Oh boy, I better watch out here. But I think in certain ways you're going to have one group of people who just go off and have there'll be the people who are like a Styx Hexenhammer type of thing. That are talking more kind of about we and us and the things that they do, but how we're doing it. I mean, again, I don't, he does an okay job. But I was recently, I don't know where, I think it might have been a Leak Project live chat. David, to me, from what we allow it. I mean, we do live it. But it's not until it's apparent. There's really no points one can make to realize that the disease can only thrive in a terrain that permits it. That initial anger is very good. Anger as a natural data stream, not as an emotion, as a feeling. So being able to know and feel it in your body, get some chemical releases around it. Really know, like, I'm pissed. Very good thing to do. Staying in a state of that anger. That's when you start screwing your body up. You start over-adrenalizing. That has its own problems. The biggest, for me, especially since a lot of what we're dealing with is the psychology of things, my biggest problem with adrenalization is the fact that it lowers your IQ during the phase. I mean, when somebody gets adrenalized, there's at least a 10-point drop in IQ. And that results because when you adrenalize, the blood leaves your frontal cortex, which is where all that special human stuff goes on. So when that blood leaves, you don't have the same capacity. That capacity is measured as IQ. IQ is an interesting concept. I think where IQ really kind of goes wrong is when it's not just used as data. Now, and it's data, and you can see some observations, but I don't know. Believe it or not, we don't need to know our IQs. People who are smart know they're smart. People who aren't smart usually don't know it. The old schools, I mean, and it's a different, it's abstract thinking. And that's the other thing. We're talking about kind of abstract thinking. That's what, when we say, ooh, that person's smart. And for me, the smart isn't a bunch of nonsense from books that they got going to a university and earning their master's degree. It's their ability to take data in real time and use it dynamically. A lot of people with their, with their masters and above. It's not a dynamic, organic kind of intelligence. But no, as far as I'm concerned, the IQ tests are silly. I shouldn't say silly. They're data. They're data, and if they're used properly, it's great. It's kind of like knowing your blood type. But when people, when people don't aren't far more nuanced than that, it can get tricky. To me, one of the things that smart people have known for a long time is you do your best to try and keep it quiet. You demonstrate, you can't help but demonstrate it, but you don't go there so much. Now, with other intelligent people, you can go there. In a crowd where some people are simpler, less abstract, it gets tricky. Because and in many cases, that perception, it's funny. Apparently, there's a certain level of this perceptive, abstract mentation that is just so it's kind of like how animals know each other. Well, like, I've been in any number of rooms, and I'm always one of the smartest people in the room. Always. And I don't care who's first, it doesn't matter. It's just the fact that it's like an eagle, it's like altitudes of flight. And certain birds will only ever fly this high, and other birds are capable, they're going up against the stratosphere. And so it's kind of, there's that. I just find that being intelligent is something that, again, you find yourself downplaying it because it offends people. But boy, is that lowering the bar for ourselves? If the best we're going to get is how the loudest whiner amongst us performs. So we got some thinking to do. And it's about the end of pretending. All this is tied into pretending. Even when I pretend to be something less than I am, because another pretender would be uncomfortable with who I really am. And we all, I know you're all, I'm in this case, I'm just speaking in that one case. It's just like, I can't say everybody, again, I don't think everybody can, I don't even know where to go with this. Again, it's the feelings. The only reason I'm constipated here is dealing with what's not real, other than feeling. Feelings are real, but it's like the feelings of what emotional age am I dealing with at most of these cases? And if I'm dealing with the equivalent of a 9-year-old emotional age and a person who's in their 30s or 40s, that's bogus. That's a pretty bogus arrangement. And it's, IQ, it's funny, it was recently, I think I saw this thing about, it was on Minds. Oh, God. Minds has some, because it's no censorship. Oh, my God, of the abusers. It's just like free speech. It comes responsibility. No censorship. as far as I'm concerned, comes with responsibility. I had to put on the explicit filter. I've never had to shield myself from adult erotica until this one group get in there and barely just legal braces, shaving. No, I mean, I just finally I went on it today. And because I don't have the explicit, I'm looking at the knee filter, and all of a sudden I just see this puss in my face. It looks, it looks like an 8-year-old puss because it has no hair on it. Yeah, that's just what I want to see, an 8-year-old's puss in my face. I don't care if she's 30. That's not what a 30-year-old puss looks like. So anyway, I finally had to put on the explicit filter, so I could spare myself from this visual assault by deviants. These people are fucking deviant. They have nasty senses of humor. Even when it's not sexual, even when the posting that isn't sexual, it's creepy. So anyway, it's a fine reminder of, so here's a case, there's no censorship, freedom, folks. And apparently a few people might even complained about it, so the administration leaned a little bit on these people. You can imagine they're carrying on like whiny little dick boys. It's pathetic. Oh, mine's just terrible censorship. Man, you're posting trash. You're posting stuff that people shouldn't have to look at while they're eating. And you're claiming censorship? No, you guys, you're a bunch of low lives that have crashed a place using the desire for us all to be free to express ourselves. And you just shit in that space. And you call it free expression. Because that's all you're capable of. That's all you're capable of. And that's why you protest when that expression of garbage is somehow denied you. Because you got nothing to replace your garbage, because you're garbage. And you can do something about that. But until you do, you're garbage. All right? It's a choice. Yeah, well, women look like women. I mean, and this is the other thing, this whole shaved thing, it comes out of the porn industry. Isn't it wonderful that a whole culture's been impacted by the porn industry? I mean, these are clearly men who would put a real pussy would scare the shit out of them. It does scare them. And this is nothing. That's not new. There has always been some men who just have a problem with real women. I like them smooth. No, what you really would like is something that would get you put in jail. So this will just have to do. We're all, no, you're not. You people are a lot of people pulling this stuff off. You're the ones with the average. You guys are not particularly bright. Let's put it that way. All right. So these games that you're playing, they're obvious games to those who can see. If Facebook hasn't blocked me, I just haven't used it since they started that snapshot. Because I was with this organization and they were all hooked up onto Facebook, so I had to stay connected through Messenger. I'm on there. I can't stand Facebook. I mean, they had to drag me into that. It's like, no. But we're all communicating on that, and you're in the center there, and I'm in GMOP. I'm kind of like what Moose is, um, and and who? Yeah, I can't talk for me. I'm all over the place. Oh yeah, Facebook. Yeah, I can't. I've never. Well, first of all, even I don't. I know the background of Mark Zuckerberg. That is such a piece of shit. So I never. One of the things that made me never want to go on Facebook. I didn't want to. I didn't want. I didn't want to be a part of anything that he's a part of. I mean, this is there's be interesting if we were. Well, I guess we couldn't run into person because he doesn't travel without bodyguards, because he knows what he is, and that requires bodyguards. And that makes me feel good. Somebody like him should fear for his life because he's garbage. And Mama, it ain't this Mama is so much of the rage I'm experiencing these past couple of days came not if it's there is like a giving voice to the rage of Kali Ma. Bone Mother's a little kinder. There's different aspects. Yeah, to me, getting banned from Facebook, it's like getting banned from the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, to me, belonging to Facebook is an embarrassment. I call it Feces Book because that's what it is. It is a shitty fucking place. And people go, oh, but I'm connected with all my friends in high school. You probably did that 10 years ago. I hope you've recorded their addresses and all their pertinent information. I mean, this is the pretending and defending thing. When people go, oh, but it's real. If it wasn't for Facebook, I wouldn't have. Well, now that you've done it, how about, okay, thanks, Facebook. You've served your purpose. I've connected with everybody I thought I had lost. Who needs you? What, so you can mine my data, which is your main, my data, everything that we put down there, what we contribute is your product. Parasitic much? Yeah, and just think, we wouldn't have all that let's say, chicken industry waste, pig waste. There would be none of these problems if we didn't have this, to me, unhealthy dietary predilection. Yeah, thank you, Raksha. And these disappearing animals are part of their plan. The minds that run the planet are alien. Okay? Yeah, they're in the human bodies, but the mindset, the spirit, it's alien. It's antagonistic. It's anti-human. And that's not hyperbole. That's the straight facts. That's what it is. And if you can't, until we all see that collectively, our immune system is quite compromised. And interesting, I think, one of the fact that many people, do their, I mean, the meat eaters that do use the factory farming, and almost there are very few people. You know what I mean? They go, oh, I get my meat, from my local whatever. I mean, again, was that a handful of people? It's the general thing is factory farms, which also mean factory slaughterhouses. I think it was Tolstoy said that as long as there are slaughterhouses, there will be battlefields, and I consider that a profound truth. Now remember, we didn't say as long as we eat animals, but as long as we have slaughterhouses, industrialized death. The whole sacred community, with the Native Americans, it's like they have a sacred, they had the sacred union with the animals, asking for them. There was something sacred. There's nothing, and that's different. But the slaughterhouses, those are just factories of dark energy. I mean, we won't make louche, but just imagine the psychic energy that's coming out of a building where there's like a death a minute, and then the people who have to work there, and when the stun gun doesn't work properly, and then you gotta kind of do it a little slow way. Boy, Raksha's just being great here. Okay, Suze. Okay, let me go. Come on, I don't know. Fucking. Mm-hmm. That's a good question, Raksha. I'm taking a little time. Raksha says, how do you hold the line in the heart of the deer energy when you're surrounded by hunters with hair triggers? I did a poll. As you know, I like to work with the runes for one thing, and then I like the medicine cards just because they're animal earth based. All right? Kind of very mama type thing. So anyway, he had done some pull, and it was just coming the coming time. So I was like, okay, I'd pulled a rune, and I don't even remember what it was. But then I put it off a few days, and then I pulled an animal medicine card, and it was deer. And both rocks, I mean, this card was pulled in like, hey man, it's going to get, we're going to start to scuffle a bit here. So what animal would like to step into our, okay, thank you. Yes, Raksha. And, so, the whole idea is which animal would, and to me, the animals now become the teachers that can work with Sophia. I mean, they're hers. So I'm expecting, something. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting because I wasn't projecting. But when I pulled the card Deer, which is gentleness, and Raksha and I have been, just dealing with some stuff that, that on the personal level, community, and then in real life, and just gentleness. So I don't know, maybe I should read it. Because, as Raksha asked in that question, okay, there's that. How do you hold the line in the heart of deer energy when you are surrounded by hunters with hair triggers? So ever since I pulled that card, some days ago. It was before I got ill, I think. And when I pulled the card, we're on camera, so we could see each other. And it was like, we both kind of looked at each other like, dear, gentleness. You got a little bit of that, shit's gearing up. So we accepted it. The fun, Rox, I know you remember, as we're kind of dealing with the hunters shooting, it's like, do you think that card timed out? We need a new totem. And I went like, well, I know, kind of emotionally, yeah, I would like another card. I said, let me think about it. And as soon as got into to where I only had my own voices to deal with, it became clear with, ooh, you asked. I mean, this wasn't just like the messing cards. It's mother, what do you want to tell us to your animals? And as I was thinking about, maybe I should pull another card, suddenly, the inner voice came in and go, having a little trouble making that one work, aren't you? Rather than kind of getting a little more creative, it's like, oh, can we have another card? And so Araksha and I were both, yeah. So Araksha and I were able, this is the beauty of with somebody like to me dealing with we don't have any egos, no competition. We both could acknowledge ourselves playing that game. Can we have a redraw, please? We were able to watch ourselves do it, know we did it, suspect ourselves, and then each one saying, not going forward and saying, okay, what? And then when I said, hey, this is what I got, and then he's going, yeah, I know, but it's a lot of fun to do this together, and I wish more people were really involved in it. And it's not like the door isn't open, but there has to be the will and the skills. So, if you want to hear what the deer card is, and I don't know if Jessica's still here. Okay. Deer is gentleness. And they each one in the medicine cards is always like a little, poem or something. And it says, "Dear, so gentle and loving you are, the flower of kindness and embrace from afar." So there's a story with this. One day, Fawn heard Great Spirit calling to her from the top of Sacred Mountain. Fawn immediately started up the trail. She didn't know that a horrible demon guarded the way to Great Spirit's lodge. The demon was trying to keep all the beings of creation from connecting with Great Spirit. And, okay, from connecting with Great Spirit. He wanted all of Great Spirit's creatures to feel that Great Spirit didn't want to be disturbed. This would make the demon feel powerful and capable of causing them to fear him. Sounds a little like Yahweh. Fawn was not at all frightened when she came upon the demon. This was curious, as the demon was the archetype of all the ugly monsters that have ever been. The demon breathed fire and smoke and made disgusting sounds to frighten Fawn. Any normal creature would have fled or died on the spot from fright. Fawn, however, said gently to the demon, "Please let me pass. I'm on the way to see Great Spirit." Fawn's eyes were filled with love and compassion for this oversized bully of a demon. The demon was astounded by Fawn's lack of fear. No matter how he tried, he could not frighten Fawn, because her love had penetrated his hardened, ugly heart. Much to the demon's dismay, this rock-hard heart began to melt, and his body shrank to the size of a walnut. Fawn's persistent love and gentleness had caused the meltdown of the demon. Due to this gentleness and caring that Fawn embodied, the pathway is now clear for all Great Spirit's children to reach Sacred Mountain without having to feel the demons of fear blocking their way. Deer teaches us to use the power of gentleness to touch the hearts and minds of wounded beings who are trying to keep us from Sacred Mountain. Like the dappling of Fawn's coat, both the light and the dark may be loved to create gentleness and safety for those who are seeking peace. If Deer has gently nudged its way into your cards today, you are being asked to find the gentleness of spirit that heals all wounds. Stop pushing so hard to get others to change, and love them as they are. Apply gentleness to your present situation. Become like the summer breeze, warm and caring. This is your tool for solving the present dilemma you are facing. If you use it, you will connect with Sacred Mountain, your centering place of serenity, and Great Spirit will guide you. You know, Roxa, sometimes I wish, apparently demons might be a little bit easier to deal with than humans really off the path. I'm still struggling with that. I got a little more nuance from the second reading around. You know, the reason why the terms like Great Spirit get used, like Great Spirit equals source, the whole thing is it's not meant to be defined so much. And also there's Great Spirit and there's Great Mystery. If there is a source to be associated in any of these terms, it would be the Great Mystery, what is unknowable. It's really interesting these times. I mean, I know for myself and with other people I share with. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Yes, I mean, we're for me, you know, the next biggest day of significance for me is in a few days when it's my birthday, and I'll be 65. If you notice, I'm not mentioning the date because there's no need for people who I'm not personal friends with to know my birthday. You could call, here's a little magical prophylactic type stuff. Oh, yeah. Yes, it was elk. Well, Doc, I'm certainly glad that you're able to find something that makes sense to you in the Nag Hammadi. So, God bless you. Or Goddess bless you. Who's your question for, Suze? Before I did it, I mentioned I did it from medicine cards. The Jamie Sams thing. It was like one of the first. If you were in the New Age, this is probably one of the things you did, and I'll tell you, it was important because it really brought the animals back. It really presenced the animals, the concept of animal totems. Good stuff. Well, I think the Nag Hammadi texts are good for a lot of people who just are very happy with some form of Christianity in their stuff. So, I don't know. I wouldn't know how anybody could make sense of the Nag Hammadi text unless you kind of weren't familiar with what the work John Lash did. To me, without John Lash's work, you can't. This Nag Hammadi texts are a mess. I find them crazy. I'm working my way through them. I'm looking for some gems. In those moments. But the thing, it's just such a hodgepodge. It does. The writings don't know what they are. They're certainly not Gnostic. Gnostic influence? Plenty of Gnostic influence. Gnostic? Not in my opinion. Yeah, it was a different Krishnamurti. I thought it was the other guy. The one that had said that quote that I had mentioned. It's like J. Krishnamurti and there's the other one. I'll tell you something. I didn't get plopped in this realm. I plopped myself into this realm. That's a great tool. Is when you finally enter into your own story too, where you remember, or if you not remember, even after the fact, it's like, why did I choose these two people as my parents? And then as you're going through it, and you go, oh, I get it. Oh shit! And some of the stuff I couldn't get until I was old enough to realize that they were doing their job fairly well. They were doing the job we contracted for them to do. Well, not perfectly, but they had me to handle. That's no small thing. So, there's that whole thing. There's no sense of being lost in the world. How did I get here? And no, it's. So I know how I got here. I know why I picked my parents. I have enough memory. Even my sister, some memories with her that were not of this one. And we did, we pulled together for a short period. Once I was grown, I was pretty much gone. I got out. They kept me alive. They were, well, again, they gave me the genetics I wanted from them. And they were glad. I mean, again, it was like kind of a team. My father had been my brother, a younger brother. My mother had been my lover. That's quite an interesting character. Oh, I'm not, Doc, if you're telling me that you find it valuable, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm saying that for me, it's, and allegory, symbolism, and all that stuff, I know it well enough so I know which magical systems are going in there. And there's a whole system of magic and beings that comes completely from, the archon, that stream of thought. So it's not just a matter of the symbolism, it's the confused language, and it's not about that. But again, you're here, we're talking. I don't really like to, it's not necessary. I probably wouldn't have even known the word Gnostic had it not been for the Nag Hammadi text. John Mindet probably wouldn't have undertaken his work had it not, because, the Nag Hammadi texts were found the year he was born. So, Nag Hammadi texts are hugely important to where we finally can be today. And, and compared to the other, I mean, it's so refreshing. There's a playing with ideas. There isn't, it's more of, let's play with this, let's do this. It's not, so dogma heavy and stuff. It's, like I said, it has some language that I would never expect to hear. There's a lot of father. There's a lot of father shit in those texts, but it's still so sweet. I mean, compared to the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, and Quran. I mean, compared to that stuff, it's a delight, an absolute delight. You know something, Doc? This is part of a little bit of what I wanted us to do as Gnostics. Is, so what? We don't agree. First of all, we start out any of these points with we love each other, and we're glad that we're even having this conversation, and that Gnostic thought has now become to a place where we can sit around and debate it a little bit and make it alive because it's dynamic. We're going to tap at it, we're going to pull at it, and kick the door, kick the tires. Because the good stuff holds up. It holds up. I mean, it's eternal. You can beat it all you want. It ain't going. It's nothing. You can't even dent it. So part of Can't You Hear Me Gnostic was a call to people who might go, what's Gnostic? And then also for other Gnostics to go, oh, a Gnostic? No, let's go over there. And then, some people will be coming, from a Lasic's perspective, other from the Nag Hammadi. And then, from those texts, you can have the ones who are very much into the Valentinians, and then you got the people into the Sethians, and, that kind of stuff. So to have a live chat where we Gnostics finally just start shooting the shit with each other in a tent. Bring that love so we could talk about anything. And we already found Sophia. You know something? The important work has been done. Now we can have a little fun. We can discuss this stuff. Well, to me, once you connect to her, there's that. that's the important, that's the, like the inception point, and now she has you again. Now she's getting her peeps back. And so, this, yeah. And even when you saw me flash anger today, it was like that I was trying to tell that organic anger. It's like, yes, that was a fucking lightning bolt. Yeah, you heard the thunder. And now it's not lightning anymore. And then, if I get myself in another lather, there'll be another lightning strike. The rumbling and the thunder that follows. And then they'll be quiet and cool. But that was always one of the things I had hoped that this might be able to turn into, is a place for Gnostics and anybody interested in Mama and Gnostic type stuff. Notice I don't use the word Gnosticism. I have a real problem with the words, that any kind of ists or isms. It's just my own personal thing. I find I work around it. I don't think anybody's missing the fact I'm not using Gnosticism. I'm saying Gnostic thought and the way Gnostics do this and blah, blah, blah. And also, we're re-emerged, as a thought stream, as the people who live on this earth with the being, Sophia, the aeon that created us. As we start to kind of re-emerge again, we have to redefine ourselves. And I think we redefine ourselves by talking to each other, and we don't have to. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk to each other, and let's have this done by this date. Fuck that, man. Let's keep on talking. Let's just keep on talking. But because the more grounded we get, the more talk starts changing to, what are we going to do? We have somebody who's asking us to get busy dreaming with her. I kind of have an idea to do that. But so what do you do? Let's get together and start talking about that. Yeah, things are dynamic. It's this. That's natural. That's what's natural. Dynamism. Homeostasis. So thank you, the people who've been coming. And Doc, it's always a pleasure to see you. Suze Pratt. And then all the other people, and the other thing wasn't, there's Gnostic, you can read the Nag Hammadi library if that's how you want to go. You can listen to look for a 2-hour interview that John Lash did in any of the past 8 years or so. Generally he'll give you the basic narrative. That is so much, to me, once you have that narrative, and then we start inserting ourselves into her story again, then we can start talking about it. That's right. That's right, Doc. Well, that's, when we go to sleep, we're leaving one, if we're trying to get this, we're leaving one dream and then kind of, I think, going into something that's a little more private. Obviously, the most important part of this dreaming involves us doing things in the world together. And that was going to dream time. So to me, the more important dream, our personal dream time is where it's kind of like about us, where we can do that hermit time. It's all about me. So if mama has some stuff for you there, it's good. But when we wake up and we're entering her dream, she's got this dream that involves everything, including animals, nature, no cloud. You know, it's a very complete dream. And I've had a few things, again, with other people reporting, like she's winking now more. It's almost like as we're saying, oh, I'm entering the dream, there's all kinds of little smiles, winks, little things dangled. Yes. Man, do I need somebody to press into my back. That's the one thing. I mean, if anybody would visit me, I would just say, oh, can you just press on my back for about 5 minutes? I'm in such pain. Racking pain. Oh boy, I've showed up in people's dreams before. But I always got to find out what happened. Although the last time I supposedly was in a dream, I got some feedback from it, and it was clearly a succubus or an incubus or whatever. It wasn't me. I just let my New York license expose. It's really funny. Here I am, I let my license expire, and I still pay off those student debts. I really couldn't afford the CEUs, and it's another thing where enough is enough. I have my skills. Fuck you, state, for trying to charge me for the skills that only improve year after year by use. And if I don't keep up with your payment schedule, supposedly I can't practice. Well, you know something? My skills don't go away. So if the skills are there, but somehow we might have a problem with me getting my skills to the bodies that need them, you suck. And I'm not going to support that suckage. It's a fucking scam. I mean, even, I learned a lot because I loved it. I paid a lot of attention. Good night, Kalen. Callan, as in calendar. And this is theft. What they're doing is theft. We have skills, and they want to be a middleman on it. Oh yeah, and then when I first got my license, we didn't have the CEUs. So the first year I renewed, I think I didn't. I don't know, but no. Very shortly after I get it, you now are required to get so many CEUs per year to renew your license. It's because I couldn't afford the CEUs that I couldn't keep all. If it wasn't for those CEUs, I could have just filled in my thing and paid my humble registry fee. No, it's somewhere like $500 in those CEU fees, and they don't even care whether or not once you've purchased it, you've earned your points. Okay? So this isn't about excellence. This is about they can say it's excellence because they're certified to give you the material. You know what I mean? They got in the gravy train line. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Well, you know what it is? Yeah, and it also, I mean, they threaten you with, loss of your license. It's, again, these people do nothing. They sit at desks. They wear, I don't even want to say the words. It's like, when do we stop even, when can we just say, enough? Are we all, where everybody gets how bogus it is. And then the energy gets withdrawn and things start to morph. Also, I don't plan to ever live in New York State again, too. That's another thing. And so, there are different ways, matter of fact, I won't give any of my strategies, but that was not an easy decision to make. Like I said, I'll be paying off the student loans that got me that license for years to come. Another ripoff. It's amazing how you can pay year after year after year, and the principal just never really seems to go down very much. Nah, we won't become the pirates. Our problem as humans are the pirates. See, but when we're gonna say we'll be pirates, that's legitimizing them. They're the garbage. They're the pirates. They're the usurpers. They're the thieves. Okay, we're not pirates when we do the real thing. They're pirating us. And these might seem like, oh, that's just a wordplay. No, this is psychological orientation. David, I think we all know that chat is a terrible place for humor. And if you want to work out your humor, maybe, find a place to perform. Chat is not the place for humor. It sucks for humor. It has no nuance. Unless you're going to put joke after it and, let everybody know you're telling them a joke. And in my opinion, we need that in chat. Chat is, it's a rudimentary form of communication. Well, Dave, I didn't come here to joke, especially tonight. Does this seem like one of those jokey kind of nights? I don't know. I'm glad that you're feeling mirthful. Good, because I'm not offended either. Man, you're here talking. I'm just as long as I can be honest, as soon as I'm honest, I can return and reset. I don't need to carry on. There's no need to say anything more. So thank you, David. Man. Oh, I am really in pain. So I guess I should end this so I can kind of... Does everybody feel like we had a good night here? While I did what I could, ranted against pretending and defending pretending. And I didn't see... This has been really good. Blue Avians. Yeah. Well, I think, isn't it official the Blue Avians have retired? Humanity isn't worth saving, or they're not ready, or something like that. So I think Corey's making new contacts in the inner earth, probably Agartha. And so from what I know of, we're not going to be hearing about Blue Avians anymore. That's... Good night, Raksha. That unit is falling apart. At least it is, to me, it's falling apart from the online community. I think they are trying to ditch the online community because the online community is on them, and they would just like to go mainstream. Yeah, my yogurt is always whole milk, but I like maple syrup instead of honey. Love, and I get a nice and organic maple syrup. Thank you for joining us and spending this time with us, Temu. You were here for a very long time. I have a health food store, yep, a couple blocks away, and they have it. They sell it in bulk. And what's nice, if you bring a 16-ounce thing and you don't have money to, because maple syrup's not cheap, you just fill in what you can and buy what you have. You don't have to buy a certain amount. If you're leaving, David, thank you for just being really good and posting it. I don't. The last thing I want to do is have somebody not post. Please post. Unless then we can you can disagree with me. I mean, just because I got the screen doesn't put me in charge of much here. Okay, people. I think I will say if anybody wants to say, this will be like the closing, either saying goodnight, asking a question, uh, you know, and all that. And then when I do get offline, I'll go outside and have a few more hits on that cigarette I rolled a few hours ago. Yes, it does. It's funny. A lot of times, I've been in places where nobody is really placing me where I'm from because I don't kind of speak that way most of the time. The moment that uh, that aspect of me that about like that would get into a fight would emerge, the Bronx comes out because that's where I had all my fights. And so it's just kind of funny. It is. That's when I get busted. Once I go there and I go, wait, are you from New York City or yeah? But it doesn't show until I go to that place. So thank you all. Niche, you're doing a Nox Mente this and Wednesday evening, right? Yeah, one of the reasons I lost the accent is I really didn't like the way it sounded. I would hear it on playbacks, and then I realized that one of the ways of getting rid of it was simply pronouncing words like they're spelled. The average New Yorker and Bronx person, I don't know what kind of ideas. I mean, I don't know. Like in other words, New York could be New York. For years, I didn't drink coffee. I drank coffee. And it was really easy to change it just because I'm looking, I go, wait a second. Coffee does not produce coffee. It says coffee. People would walk their dog, drink water. And it's like, and then it's like, water? No, it's water. It's not dog. It's not dog. It's dog. So it was just simple things like that. That I mean, those that to me, the part of New York's speech, and it also hit its lower. It goes almost all the way out to Long Island, and Long Island gets terrible. And then it goes into Southern Connecticut, which is really a part of New York. I mean, I know it's state, but as far as culturally, it's New York. And then when you get north, you finally get into Connecticut, that is actually New England. It used to all be New England, but Connecticut's a strange state. All right, so this is let me go to my little screen here. So this way here I know when I finally end it, it's really stopped streaming. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for making this an us, and holding what is this is. Boy, I felt like I could almost cry there for a second. This is so important. This is an amazingly important time on this planet. And something as simple as the direction you point your spirit in is so crucial. What's home? What do you have you figured out what's applicable for you? Is like, where do I source from? And I'm talking about the source for what we're doing right now, not ultimate source. I mean, don't get lost. We got work to do. So the whole thing is, who do we belong to in this situation? So that we can be effective by not, it's where we're working with the manager and not the state CEO. You know what I mean? The state is not our concern. Analogy. So anyway, that's my good night. But please, thank you for holding some really important sacred space. I love you all, and good night.